want to start in the Big Ten, where Michigan State is taking a 2-game losing streak into this weekend's top 10 showdown with Illinois, while Jeremy Fears has developed into the biggest villain in the sport. 10 years after Grayson Allen got super weird and started doing all sorts of crazy stuff with his legs. Now Jeremy Fears is doing the same thing. He's tripping folks, kicking folks. According to Tom Izzo, he might not start the next game because he needs to grow up. Norlander, I think you'd agree Jeremy Fears is having a season worthy of All-America honors, but is also damaging his reputation dramatically. What is going on with this young man?
Few things. Good morning. Has it really been 10 years since Grayson Allen? I went and checked. It has not been 10 years since he left. Thank God.
But it was 10 years
college in 2018.
But it was 10 years since he started tripping people. I believe that's correct.
I think you are correct since the saga began. And to Fears' defense, although there's not a lot of room to defend him, he has not remotely approached Grayson Allen's level. Just hasn't. Like, Grayson Allen had multiple blatant, obvious year-over-year instances. That's not what we have here. What we have here is quite a development over the past few days. Started with a week ago, the game that Michigan State lost and hosted against its rival Michigan last Friday night, where Fears was pretty blatantly seen sticking his foot out and potentially injuring Axel Lendenborg in the process. Did not do it, but then that kind of caught some traction over the weekend. And then on Monday, Dusty May had a press conference and essentially called out Fears and Michigan State and said you could see it all over 40 minutes worth of the tape there. And then Izzo had a little bit of a response. And then you got the Minnesota loss on Wednesday night. Congrats to Nico Medved ending the losing streak. Good to see that for him. But, Minnesota is not threatening to make the NCAA tournament. Michigan State is trying to vie to get a 1 or a 2 seed here. Fears has been top 3, top 5 point guard in the country this season. And he had 2 instances in this game where he presented unnatural movements. How about that? One was the mule kick. And then there was another one where he was on the floor and his foot and his leg kind of jolted out a little bit there. And I'm not calling this a thing with a capital T yet. You just can't have it happen again. Not this weekend, not in 3 games from now, not in the Big Ten tournament, because now there is a general awareness of this. And for anyone that doesn't like Michigan State, that's looking for reasons to go after them now, Fears has given you all the ammo that you could possibly need. So we wait and see. They just so happen to have a massive game on Saturday, which of course is going to be part of our Final 4 and 1. I'm not going so far as to call Jeremy Fears Jr. the villain of college basketball this season. I don't think he has reached that stage, but if he has one more of these, then yes, I think we will have an out-and-out problem on our hands. But we'll see. And to your question, I do think that he is going to start. I mean, their backup point guard is also injured his left foot in the game against Minnesota. Never say never. And I appreciate Tom Izzo at least putting it out there and taking some immediate accountability in the game afterwards, GP. But Jeremy Fears is going to start for Michigan State against Illinois on Saturday. I would be shocked if that wasn't the case.
I'd like to have this clipped and sent to Old Takes Exposed just in case.
And if it's not, and I'm right, then what happens?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I never considered that.
Exactly. Old Takes Exposed has been a scourge on the internet for too long.
Oh, wow. Oh, clip that and send that to Old Takes Exposed.
Nothing worse than the snitch tag losers that tag Old Takes Exposed.
I do agree with that. Like, you're a real loser if you tag people in that.
Get a life. I don't care. You can tag, but you're a loser if you do it. I mean,
you're a loser. You're right. Can we just keep going on a list of things that likely mean you're a loser? Like, if you sit around all day tweeting at sports writers you don't know, you're probably a loser. All right. Anyway, the Twitter is calling Jeremy Fears the villain of college basketball. That is what Twitter is calling him.
Well,
but
Twitter's doing a lot of things these days. I wouldn't take too much stock in what.
Well, I was going to point that out. You should see what they call me. You should see what they call me. So you take it for what it take it for what it's worth. I'm not ready to call it a thing with a capital T yet either. But one more incident, and it goes to like A Block Sports Center stuff. Because it is already a thing, in part because Dusty brought it up Monday. Then because it happened again so clearly, Nico, if you saw his post game, took the high road, like really complimented Jeremy and the family, but said, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I think everybody agrees, like, you can't do that. The mule kick, as you described it, like, that's outrageous. And I saw some people in some places being like, well, his pivot foot was this, and he was trying to kick it. No, he just kicked him. He kicked him in the nuts. You can't do that. That's wrong. That's the type of shit Draymond Green does, and then goes like, hey, I don't know what happened.
Profanity less than 10 minutes in on a Friday. Here we go. Hello.
You can't do that. All right? You can't do that. And so I did appreciate Tom at least acknowledging, hey, maybe I didn't see it as clear as you guys have seen it in slow motion since it happened, but like, he's got to grow up, and he at least presented the possibility that he might start the next game on the bench, and made it clear, like, I'm not coaching this, and I'm not condoning this, and we have to fix it, and we will. So we'll see, but it is now a thing people are watching for and looking for. And it's a little bit like, think of this. Over the past week, I guarantee you, Jeremy Fears isn't the only basketball player who's cheap-shotted other basketball players. Just like Dan Hurley is not the only coach on a sideline who sometimes, does what he does. But once you develop a reputation for that, then people are looking for it, and they're hyper-focused on it. And there's a camera on you at all times. And there's somebody out there, watching every little moment to find any little thing that happens, and then it will get blown up. So if Jeremy Fears isn't aware of that, he needs to be made aware of that fairly or unfairly, you can't get away with anything anymore without it becoming a bigger deal than it probably is. So be careful and don't further damage your reputation, because I really do think this is a thing in basketball. Like, Grayson Allen has developed into a completely competent rotation player in the NBA. Like, he's having a nice career, but he is mostly known as a tripper. Like, that's just the truth.
There's even been a few times in the NBA where something's come up and immediately it goes right back to what he did in college.
That's right. And when somebody trips somebody in a basketball game, somebody immediately goes, he's doing a Grayson Allen. Like, that's a thing now. That's something people say. And if you're not careful, you'll become that thing. You'll be the next thing people reference when basketball players trip people. You don't want that. This young man has had an incredible college career. By all accounts, is an impressive student athlete. I don't know exactly how we got to this point. But I hope he pulls out of it, because it's a weird thing that overshadows all of the other good stuff that he's done throughout his college career.
Yeah, I mean, in particular, it's been a few years now, and I almost feel like some of this hasn't been in back of mind for the Michigan State fans that watch on a game by game basis. But he got shot in the leg. Like, I remember when that story emerged out of nowhere. Fears went back home, Chicago. Fortunately, it wasn't that bad of an injury. He's been able to return and have a really strong, awesome career. I mean, right now he's at 31 minutes a game, 14.7 points, 8.9 assists, only second to Braden Smith. In fact, is he ahead? Sorry, GP, I want to check this in real time. Is Fears ahead of Smith right now in assists per game? I'm checking right now, because they were neck and neck with this season. They're both at 8.9, so they're both tied going into the weekend. He shoots almost 90% from the foul line, does Fears. Really, really good player. And yeah, hopefully this is the last time we ever have to talk about it on the podcast. But, nothing happened on Thursday. I noticed GP couldn't help but push off the Gonzaga loss until B block after going to see his boy Mark Few. Give him a little solid there, not leading with Portland beating Gonzaga. Don't worry. We're getting there.
We'll get there.
With Fears doing what he did, like, it's still in the consciousness. And of course, they've got a huge game awaiting on Saturday. We'll pick that one in the Final Four and one.
My initial question to you was, what's going on with this young man? And I don't know that there's a clear answer to that. I remember having these conversations when Grayson Allen was dealing with whatever he was dealing with. And I don't know that anybody ever pinpointed it, but the theory I heard from, like, people who understand this type of stuff better than you and I might, was there's an instinct that can kick in sometimes. Like, somebody told me, if you go and watch the Grayson Allen incidents, there's a pattern where he's either getting beat off the dribble consistently or he's struggling in some way. And it's like I need this to stop. How can I stop this? that's a way to get it to stop. And sometimes you react in these unusual ways out of frustration / desperation. It's a mental thing more than anything else. And so I'll let other people try to diagnose it with Jeremy Fears. Hopefully they get it figured out, but it has become, it's the type of thing people are talking about throughout the sport. And there are people who didn't even know Jeremy Fears' name 2 weeks ago who now know there's a player at Michigan State who's, being called the villain of college basketball in some circles. So this is where we are. We'll pick the game in the Final Four and 1.